goal here today is to create what you see up on the screen. It's a fan grill that you would find on the back of a computer. And basically, we're going to use projected curves from a surface and then sweep to generate this. So let's take a look here. We begin by starting a new part file and select the front plane and start a sketch. First thing we're going to do is build one of the feet. So we'll hit sketch and we'll proceed to zoom up until we don't see any crosshairs, dashes between the crosshairs, and then click in the center here and drag up a vertical line, the middle click, and then find the center and ends arc. Just move it a bit above the line you just drew, click down, connect it to the vertex of the line you just drew a minute ago, click again, and drag around. And it'll leave a little opening on the left hand side. And then click. The middle click to complete it. Now we can see some of the dimensions that are given here. We'll go ahead and just make sure we follow the instructions for the parameters. As you can see here, we need a radius of 1.5, 15 degrees of the angle where this point stops, according to this vertical line, 1-inch radius, and 4 inches from the center. So we'll put the 1.5 up first, and we'll add a dimension here. So we'll go to the dimension tool, select from the very bottom to the center point, middle click, and that will be 4. And then we want to get rid of this dimension. So we'll go ahead and select the line tool and draw a line from here to here, and then middle click. If you middle click again, you can now actually select that line till it turns red and right click and turn it to construction. Then we could go to the dimension tool and add our dimension between that line and this line here. And now we just put in our dimension of 15 degrees. The last thing we want to put in is the fillet, or the radius here. So over here we could go to the sketch blend and select the 2 lines, the middle click, and make sure that that's set to 1 inch, and then trim out the additional material using the trim tool. Oh, actually did too much there. Not a bad idea, maybe to zoom up and grab it. And you're done. Hit the done tool. Okay, now that that's completed, we can go ahead and now sketch on the right plane. So we select the right plane, and in this case I accidentally selected the wrong one, so I'm going to hit cancel here. And then go ahead and make sure you select the right plane. Start the sketch. Hit sketch. And now we have to draw the second profile that's in the book here. And you can see this is laid down horizontally, so it may not look exactly like your screen, but it's a series of just a line, 2 arcs, another line at an angle, and a horizontal line. So we'll just go ahead and draw that. Taking the line tool, we'll start off by drawing a vertical line, an angled line, and another vertical line. And we'll let the dimensions take some control here. This will be 1 inch, and this is going to be 130. This, we'll set that to 4 right now. Actually, we'll go ahead and change that in just a moment. That will, after the radius, will end up being 2.25. So let's go ahead and put the radius in. So we go ahead and select here and here, and here and here. Now each one of these will be 1 inch. And then we could finalize with dimension here. And that will be 2.25. And then the last dimension will be 1.7. Okay, and this will be 1.7 here. And that's it. Now we could go ahead and hit the Done tool. And what we're going to do with that particular curve is we're going to extrude it as a surface. Because it's not an enclosed boundary, we just go to Extrude. And then we want to make sure it extrudes in both directions, so mid-plane, 4 inches. And hit the Apply button. The next step is we want to go ahead and project that curve onto the surface. So to do that, we find a tool up here under Edit, Project. And under the surface, under References here, make sure it's Project to Sketch. We could select the sketch actually right there. That's a little question mark looking sketch. And then the surfaces now, we have to go ahead and Control Select all of them. They should all turn pink. And then finally, a directional reference. In this case, you could select the actual front plane and then flip the arrow. So it projects down, and you'll see a preview in yellow of what it's going to look like. And then we just hit the Apply button. Now we have a curve projected, basically a 3-dimensional guide curve that we could use. So now I'm going to go ahead and just right-click on this, click once on the surface, and then right-click and select Hide. We don't need to see the surface anymore. Now we have our geometry. So for this now, we're going to go ahead and create a sweep protrusion. So we go to Insert, Sweep, and Protrusion. We want to go ahead and make sure we select the Select Trajectory, and we could go ahead and select from the menu manager, be sure you select Curve Chain, and select somewhere around here, and select all, and you should get a little arrowhead there. Now if that doesn't come up, you could click on Start Point and flip it, and well, if it comes up somewhere else, make sure it comes up on this end, make your life a little easier. And then hit Done, and OK. And now we're sketching. Now what we want to do is sketch a 1/2-inch diameter circle on that point. So we just go to the Circle tool, sketch out that, type in 0.5 actually, hit Done, and OK. And it sweeps our foot across. And so there now we have our foot part of our geometry that we needed. Moving along here, now the next stage is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add another feature here. We're going to make an extension. Now we could have done this all in one shot, but I just didn't want to have too much information in the sketch initially. Not that it would hurt anything, but for a learning experience. Let's just take bite-sized chunks versus trying to do the whole thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up drawing just a 7-inch line off of there, and then a 1-inch radius that's cut off at 45 degrees. And the reason for that is so we can mirror it after it's swept through and get a 90-degree elbow, as you see right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So 7 inches, 45 degrees. We could select the front plane to start our sketch. Zoom out. Draw a line right at that point. And then go to the tangent arc and click, and actually wrong one there. Click and drag it straight out and to the right a little bit. Make sure you don't snap to 90 degrees. Then put in the dimensions, 7 inches by 1 inch, and we could actually use a center line here, and instead of having to do all that extra information, just put a center line between those two and use the dimension tool to constrain that. and that will be at 45 degrees. Now we could just hit the check mark to apply. And now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take that geometry and do another sweep protrusion. So insert, sweep protrusion. Under here, make sure you select traject and curve chain. Select near the end there. Select all. Now in this case, I'm getting my arrowhead over here. This is where I could select start point and hit next, and it will move it over here. Unfortunately, we don't get a good picture of it, but we could accept that, and now you'll see it's there. So we hit done, and done, and it will start sketching on the end of that. Now what we can do here is steal this edge by using not the circle tool, but the concentric circle tool. So concentric circle. Select this edge here and make sure you get the R1s to snap. That means it has a relationship to make it equal to the other side. Hit OK and hit OK. Hit done, and then you could hit OK. And there it is. Now we want to mirror this over. So what you want to do is in the feature tree, hold Control and select both protrusions. Then over on the right, you should find the mirror tool. Select the mirror tool. And then all you have to do is select the very end face here as the mirror plane and hit apply. And now you should have your elbow completed. Alright, now the next part of the manual, I get you this far, but with your experience now, you theoretically should be able to finish this, but I do give you a little drawing with some information on what you need to do. In this case, to make the concentric rings and then mirror over the other geometry. But I'm going to give you some hints here and assist you to get this done. So as you can see here, the spacing is about 2.5 for each of these concentric rings. From the center is 1.25. So we have to locate the center to get those in, and they're a ½ inch diameter. So we could actually select the right plane, start a sketch. And what we first want to do is go to wireframe up here. Select the wireframe option and zoom up where the elbow occurs down at the bottom. And we're going to select the concentric ring, select the edge and make it equal size, and then middle click, hit OK. Now what we might want to do there is right click and change it to construction. And the only reason I wanted to do that was to get the center point. So I could select the centerline tool here and draw a center line off of that. Actually, we might want to draw a solid line just in case center lines don't always show up in the sketch. So draw a solid line over that and then hit the done tool. And now we have an axis of revolution, basically, which is the center of our component. We could go back to shaded mode, and now we could go ahead and select the right plane again and start a new sketch. And from here, just use the circle tool, draw out a circle right about here, and another one of equal size. Make sure you get the little R1, and make sure they're all aligned. And we should have 4, if I'm correct, in here. So we'll just draw one more over here. We get some dimensions. Let's go ahead and use the dimension tool to override some of them. We'll select here and the center point there. Make sure we get the 1.5, or it's 1.25, I think. Let me just make sure here. Yep, 1.25, and then the rest are 2.5. So we could go back to dimension and just override the ones that are there. And just make sure all these are 2.5 for the distance. Then you might want to lay them out nicely. Okay, and then the diameter of this one will be 0.5, and since they're all equal, they'll all update. And finally, the dimension for this will be 0.49, so that it just digs in a little bit, connecting itself, just like if it were welded a little bit. Okay, now we're ready to go ahead and revolve. So we could go over here to the check mark to hit done, go to revolve, and for the axis, select that little blue line that's down there that you drew earlier. Okay. Now we could let it go all this way around and then locate a plane and mirror this elbow over, but here's something else we can do. Under options, you could set it to variable, and instead of setting it to 360, set it to 45 degrees, variable, and then the next option down below, set it to variable as well, and make it 135. And 135 plus 45 equals 180 degrees. So you're making exactly 1/2 of your geometry. The next thing you can do is now just go through and hold control and select from the feature tree all the features. So every protrusion, the mirror, and the revolve. Go to the mirror tool over on the right, select one of the end faces, and hit the check mark, and you're done.